Hey everybody, hope you guys are having a great day. So today's video is about things to ask yourself before you list your house, that you want to sell your house. Because you know, people are sometimes too quick to put their house on the market and then they regret it afterwards. And sometimes they regret it during the process. There's a buyer now, and now they have to realize that they're gonna have to pack up and move. And now they're like, oh, what did I do? So you need to ask yourself these questions. In the meantime, if you like this kind of content, do me a favor, consider subscribing and hit the bell notification so you're notified next time we upload a video. So here we go. Number one, why do you want to sell? I know that sounds crazy and it's very basic, but what is your reasoning? Is it a job? Is it you need a bigger house? Is it, or you just bored of your house? Do you want a different neighborhood? What is your motivation for selling? You really have to sit down and think about it and weigh the pros and cons, saying, why do I want to sell my house? What do you think on that one?
Yeah, I agree. You know, you need to be ready. It's a process. You know, when you're listing, when you make the decision to list your house, you know, there's a whole bunch of things, you know, where you're going to go, you know, the expense, etc. So you definitely need to be prepared for it, having people through your house, you know.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that one. But so, yeah, you may be regretted once people start poking around your house.
Right, because you're going to have to let people in. And I've had issues where you can tell the person doesn't really want to sell their house, and because they're very difficult to get an appointment to show the house. You know, there's a small window of like an hour a day to view the property, and you know, they don't want to sell for whatever reason, and that's understandable.
Yeah, and maybe you could afford it that you don't have to sell your house. Maybe rent it for a little while and then go buy a house. You might be in a situation you could do that. Or, you know, just leave it empty and go back and forth until you're comfortable where you're moving to. All right, Bill, give me another one.
So I get this question on the buy side and the sell side. Is now a good time to buy or sell? So, you know, we don't have seasonality here for the most part in Florida, you know, but that question's probably a little more prevalent when it comes to the northern states where it's cold. Right. And there's snow, and you know, people aren't listing their houses typically as quickly when it's cold out. You know, but down here, it's, you know, I hate the term. It's always a good time to sell, or it's always a good time to buy. But I would say that it's a good time to buy or sell when it's right for you. If you're buying on the upside, you know, you're buying a house to live in.
Right.
And you know, if the market's hot and high, then selling is going to be hot and high. If the market's low, then it's, you know, buy, sell, low. So you know, it kind of balances itself out. So there's, you know, timing the market never works. I understand people want to make the most of their money and they're trying to time the market right, but timing never wins. Mm-hmm. You know, and an example of that would be, you know, we're overpaying for, you know, homes and stuff, so I'm waiting for the market to crash. The market that doesn't ever seem to crash. You know, property values are still going up here. Yeah. So you know, it just doesn't work out timing the market. Yeah.
So that's a really good point. So that's the second one. So now the third one. Here's one, Bill. What is your home worth? You might think it's worth $500,000. But it may be realistically be worth maybe $400,000, or you may think it's worth $500,000 and it's really worth $600,000. What do you think, Bill?
Yep, I agree. So what you need to do is you're comparing home sales, recent home sales,
with comparable houses.
For comparable houses. So what usually happens is people don't compare their property to another property, or they look back 6 months, a year, because they're just looking at numbers. You know, they're going on public facing websites and they're going, well, this house down the street sold for this much. This house down the street sold for this much. They're not looking at what was in the house. So for instance, did they have, you know, quartz countertops and you've got Formica? You know, you have to compare apples to apples, and then there's a formula to where you give and take get a comparative, get a true analysis of the property.
Let me give you an example. I was in Clearwater, Florida, and I was doing a condo building. I was on like the 8th floor or something, and on the beach side of it was, I think the condo was going for $800,000. On the parking lot side of it was $600,000.
Right.
So it's location too. So your house, don't look at comparables of a place that is in a more expensive area or a less expensive area. You have to kind of stick around your neighborhood. Is that true?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You know, when we're doing comparables, we start off, you know, on your street, and we just start working our way out little by little over, you know, and keep expanding out to find the comparable properties, because that's how this is going to, the bank's going to do it. The bank's going to compare properties that are, you know, alike. And if you get too far away, then they're not going to use it as a comparable. So you're doing yourself an injustice, you know, by listing your property way too high or even way too low, because then you're leaving money on the table. I understand everybody wants to get the most money for their property, and you know, I do too for my house. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Those are the numbers, and you know, that's how I work, is off of numbers. I come in and I'll show you exactly what houses I'm using as a comparison versus, you know, going to the public facing. And that's what those computer algorithms do too. You know, on the public facing, they just look at the tax data.
What do you tell people that look at Zillow and they're like, oh, Zillow says my house is worth X amount? You can manipulate that thing.
Oh, yeah, the second I put it up on for sale, you'll see Zillow's number change the next day.
Yeah.
Because now it's been professionally evaluated, and then the computer program will take that into consideration. You know, I don't know their algorithm obviously, but you know, time and time again, I watch the property. The second I list it, the value shoots up or shoots down depending on, you know, where I list it, because they could be, you know, plus or minus depending on, you know, the property.
Yeah, I think we should cross the street because this is a narrow sidewalk.
It is a narrow sidewalk.
All right, I got one, Bill.
Okay.
What's your selling expenses? Do you think that if you're going to sell your house for $500,000, you're going to walk away $500,000? Even if you... Wait for the motorcycle by? Okay. Even if you don't have a mortgage and you sell it for $500,000, you have expenses.
Right.
One of the expenses is closing costs. And then you have real estate commissions. Bill, I'm going to push this one on to you a little bit, because what are the commissions?
Well, commissions are negotiable, so there's no one set in stone commission rate. But what you're doing is you're offering a commission to sell the home, and you're also offering the portion of the commission to the agent that brings you a buyer, whether it be the agent that listed your house or another agent that's out there showing properties to their buyers. You're offering compensation to them for working that side of the deal, because you know, it takes two.
So do you think if you're selling a house for $500,000, it could end up costing you 8% of the $500,000?
Yeah, so you have to, like you said, you already kind of touched on it. You've got real estate commissions, then you've got titling fees, you've got your taxes. You know, there's stuff that you have to take into consideration when you're actually selling the house. It's not you're just going to walk away with that money.
Yeah, full disclosure, we're not financial advisors, but Bill's a realtor, but just so we're not giving you any financial advice.
I'm saying property taxes.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about...
No, I'm talking property taxes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know, yeah, I don't even touch on the other stuff, but I'm saying you've got to pay doc stamps, property taxes, prorations, things of that nature. And, you know, there's a give and take on both sides of that coin.
So get those numbers.
Yeah, find your numbers out. When you have your listing consultation, you know, your realtor is going to go over what those numbers are roughly going to be.
So consider that. All right, here's one. Make repairs. Maybe you should get a home inspection done. You know, just to get a home inspector in there and say, hey, when you sell this house, have a home inspection done, you know, because the home inspectors say, hey, the home inspector is going to find X, Y, and Z. And then consider the cost of what it will be to bring the house up to the value that you want. Maybe the water heater is all rusted out. Maybe the roof is old. So now you know, you weren't planning on that. You were planning to sell the house for $500,000, but now those people won't be able to get insurance because the roof is shot or the water heater is leaking or they won't close.
Right.
So know the true cost of repairs. Do you have anything to add to that one?
Yeah, understanding that, you know, certain things will have to be repaired no matter what, just for the point you made with the insurance. So there's no getting around that if you want to sell the house. So, and eventually it's going to catch up with you as well when it's time for, you know, renewals potentially. You know, and you can do some things that, you know, can help, you know, return on your investment. Curb appeal is a big thing.
Yeah.
know? Gone are the days, I'm sorry, gone are the days that the house just flies off the market. We're getting back to a normal market now finally, and it's, you know, you're going to have to do a few things. You know, curb appeal is unbelievable. It's the first thing you see when you walk in the house.
So, but that costs money too. So you're going to have to consider that.
Absolutely.
Before you decide to sell or not. It's curb appeal, and any repairs, any roofs, any major problems, make sure you have no open permits or you converted something without a permit.
Yeah.
You know, it's really not good. All right, let's go on to another one. We'll do a couple more. All right, here's one. Timeline. Are you in a rush to sell? Do you have to sell within weeks, months, years? Do you have a place to go to? So when you're saying, okay, I'm gonna put my house up for sale, and if somebody comes there and they want to buy the house and they meet all the contract requirements, tell me if I'm wrong anywhere, they meet all the contract requirements, you have to sell it. And then there's a closing date and you have to leave. And you have to leave when the closing date happens. What do you think?
Yeah, so a couple of things on that. So, you know, do you have a place to go? That's important. You know, are you, you know, when you sold your property, it's time to leave. So what you could do is, if you haven't quite closed on your other property yet, in your contract when you're negotiating, you can do what's called a lease back. And you can negotiate that in, that where you're leasing your own house back after closing to the, you know, from the new owners, to give yourself a little bit of time, so that you have, sometimes people need the funds or they need to close on a house, you know, they need to sell to buy kind of thing. So that's an option, something to discuss.
So basically, before deciding to sell,
kind of got to have a plan. Well, you have a plan B. Let's say you don't buy a house right away, or you can't get, because you can sell and buy at the same time. But let's say you don't find a home right away or a property right away. You know, where are you going to stay? You're staying with some friends, a relative, you know, what have you. So just kind of have a plan when it comes to that, and understand that the process, once you list your property, you know, it could take 30, 40, 50 days before your property sells or goes under contract, and then you still have 30 to 45 days, give or take, for your property to close. So there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to, you know, moving, no pun intended.
So at the end of the day, here are some things you need to consider yourself before you put the for sale sign up. Really think about it. It's a big step, and don't regret selling it or even putting it up on the market, and then you realize, oh, it's the real deal. I have a buyer and I'm gonna have to get out.
Right.
So that's today's video. Greatly appreciate it. As always, if you like these kind of videos, consider subscribing, hit the bell notification. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you and have a great day.
Thanks. See you on the next one.
Bye.